You're kidding, right?
Hey everybody, this is Perch. So a couple days ago, I did the video about James Gunn, and in particular that James Gunn had clapped back, which I kind of hate that term. But anyway, he was on Twitter, and somebody was saying, "Hey, the rumor is you hate Henry Cavill," and James Gunn's like, "Not true." And then the person said, "Ah, here it is true," and it goes back and forth. And finally, James Gunn was like, basically, like, you're a moron. Your rumors suck, and you live in your mom's basement. All the rest. And generally speaking, I am on James Gunn's side on this because there is nothing worse than basically somebody saying, "Hey, I heard this," and then saying, "Nope, it's not accurate," and then the person like, "I don't know, maybe it is," and you're like, "Look, buddy, what are you trying to do here? You try to save face? I'm not. It's unclear what the strategy is when people do stuff like this. But that's kind of basically the long and the short of it is that. But the topic that kind of kicked all this stuff off was this. This is the problem: is that what was said was James Gunn doesn't like Henry Cavill. What was actually being communicated was that Henry Cavill was not going to, that Warner was souring or not high on the idea of him being Superman, or him playing that character. And so, if you really dissect it, this is why I always hate. I hate when people play games, and I understand that sometimes in corporations and everything, you kind of have to play the game. But in this instance, the game was, James Gunn knew that the DCU that he was writing, because he's talked about writing hundreds of pages, he didn't do that, in the last 2 nights. So he knew that they were taking the DCU in a direction, which, if I'm reading between the lines, is that they want a younger Superman to go along with the younger Batman, because they're trying to rebuild kind of their overall universe. James Patterson they like, and so they want a younger Superman. Henry Cavill looks too old in their mind, so they want to recast and go younger, because they're trying to start the universe off younger. That's reasonable. I get it. I get why. I like Henry Cavill as Superman. I think he did a good job, and I think he exemplifies the character. I think all those pieces look good. But I also understand the studio wants to start fresh and do something new. The DCEU is very troubled in terms of how it's been perceived. So, I mean, I get all of this stuff. I understand. It all makes sense. But here we are, right? So now what was happening is James Gunn knew that Henry Cavill was not in his plans. But he decided to wade in anyway to somebody who was being an obnoxious kind of prick about, hey, I hear you dislike the guy. The correct answer for James Gunn, in hindsight, if he knew he wasn't going to use Henry Cavill and he knew he wasn't part of the overall plans, the correct answer would be to say nothing. Yes, that meant somebody is, maybe saying something untrue. Let's assume for the moment, because I think it's a safe assumption, that James Gunn likes Henry Cavill. He has nothing against him. He's not angry with him. He will happily send him a Christmas card, whatever. He will, whatever. He likes him. I think that's probably the truth. However, this is where it gets funny, because when that post got written, people assume that James Gunn, by saying, no, that's absolutely not true, I like him very much, that he was also saying, Gunn didn't, but the Gunn was also saying, yeah, and he has a place in our franchise, which was a reasonable expectation to make, given that Henry Cavill appeared, at the end of Black Adam, and that was a surprise. It wasn't what people expected, and I think we're supposed to assume that Black Adam is also part of the new DCU, but maybe you have to assume, and you assume that because James Gunn did Peacemaker. Peacemaker is attached to Suicide Squad, the version James Gunn did. The characters in Black Adam, there was crossover, so it all makes sense that that is the universe. So even though Henry Cavill's appearance in Black Adam may or may not have had anything to do with the DCEU and what James Gunn is doing, still it's reasonable for people to put those dots together. The Suicide Squad person makes an appearance in Black Adam. That Suicide Squad person was in both Peacemaker and James Gunn's movie. Henry Cavill shows up in Black Adam. Therefore, all of these things are connected. That's not crazy to assume that. And this is where I think I could say James Gunn deserves a good knock. Is that he just like I know this, he knows this. He knows what he's doing. He knows that this expectation is out there. He knows people like Henry Cavill. Now, he absolutely may be thinking in his head, look, we just, I like the guy, but we still need to go younger. We still need to reset the universe. We need to distance ourselves from the Snyderverse and all the rest of that stuff and kind of go in a different direction. Totally get it. It completely, all that stuff makes sense. The only negative is if you're going to go in hot on Twitter and you're going to want to roast somebody and call them out for saying untrue rumors, you shouldn't, you shouldn't lean into a different impression at the same time. And he did. It changes kind of the way I feel about it for sure, because by leaning into it and making such a bold statement and basically, calling the guy out on his nonsense. And again, the person who made the original post, what the Den of Geeks or whatever it was, it was nonsense. The person was basically like, I heard a rumor, and I think it is a good thing to call some of these jackasses out who come up with rumors that are clearly bullshit. Clearly, they're invented in somebody's mind, or they're tossed around on between Twitter DMs, but they hold no truth. There's way too many people who get away with making predictions that are just vague enough that they can claim victory no matter what happens. And that's what they do. They make these very general, predictions about what's going to happen, and then they ensure that they're right either way. When a couple of years ago we got all that, the DCU is the DC Comics is going to close shop in July, like 2 years ago. Well, they clearly didn't, and that was not on the table. But the way a lot of those rumors were portrayed, it's like, well, that was a plan at the time, and then things changed. It's like, nah, it was not, though. You invented it, and you're giving yourself an out. It's kind of how this is going. By James Gunn coming in and saying, no, I like the guy, there was some additional context he could have added. Instead, a couple days later, Henry Cavill has to break the news like, guys, I'm done with Superman. Why couldn't James Gunn have said, hey, I like him, he's a tremendous actor, I'm hoping, I do hope to work with him at some point. I think he's pretty nifty. We are going to steer the DCU in a different direction where we're going to go a little younger with the characters and all the rest. But hey, we may do a Kingdom Come adaptation at some point. We may do a multiverse kind of thing. I mean, there's still an opportunity for Henry Cavill to play here. Our immediate plans are going to be focused more on recasting and going younger. That would have been the honest answer. I think the truth via omission or lie via omission, depending on how you call it, is what we got. Was no, I like the guy. It's like, yeah, but that wasn't exactly what people were after, and everybody knew it. And so I don't think that people like James Gunn and other people in Hollywood need to come out there and just tell everybody their secrets. I mean, and there's a whole possibility in all this that this is a big deep fake, and that Henry Cavill is absolutely still signed on and absolutely still going to do stuff, and this is all just a way to kind of generate some surprise. Definitely possible. It's happened before. It's happened with James Gunn many times before. He likes to do this kind of thing, but we'll see. Chances are he's out. It is what it appears to be. And this is, basically this is what we have. So, what does all this come down to? I think, the right answer, if you're going to come and you're going to clap back at somebody, you need to also be forthcoming. It does make James Gunn look bad in my mind that he took an aggressive stance against somebody who arguably deserved it. only to turn around kind of within days, within less than 2 days, to discover that the root of that story was true, that Cavill was being phased out, wouldn't be doing more Superman. So I hate that lie by omission stuff. I hate that, like, well, but technically I still like him, so I told the truth all along. Like, yeah, but then you didn't need to come in hot. You didn't need to come in and smack the guy down. You could have just said, hey, I no, actually, it's not true. I do like Henry Cavill. You didn't have to add the stuff like, you dwell in your mom's basement and all that kind of shit. You could be like, well, sorry you think otherwise, but I know who I like and who I don't like, and I like him. You could have gone, again, if you knew this information, he did know, then he should have answered it a different way. Overall, yeah, I'm disappointed. I think Henry Cavill was a good Superman. I think he had some passion, and more, I tend to root for people who are passionate about the products they do, and whether he was the absolute best Superman that could possibly be gotten or not, I think it's better to have people on your team and working for you who want to be there. And Henry Cavill clearly wanted to do more Superman, liked the character, seemed to have a good time, at least from everything he said and portrayed. So I would hope for a better outcome than this, but he's going to have a good career. James Gunn's going to try and create something over there. The world will go on despite all of this drama. But it is interesting to see how it all played out in hindsight. Let me know what you think, both about the casting, him moving on, and kind of this entire fluff. What should Gunn have done? What would have been the right answer? You let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, of course, and thanks for listening.